Yo, what's going on guys, Khraze here, welcome back to another Cyberpunk 2077 video. Today we are just 4 days away from the release of the game. We have a ton of stuff to talk about. Of course, in the past few hours and especially in the past day, we had so many leaks. It's absolutely crazy. Like, if you search online a little bit, you will find so much gameplay and so many things being shown, so be careful with the spoilers. But in this video, I do want to talk about a few of the gameplay features in these leaks, of course without spoiling anything, no story spoilers in this video. But if you still don't want to find out this information, then you better step away from this video and maybe try to check it out some other time. But as always, if you enjoy it at any point, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on it, and let's jump right into it. Now, if you're still here, let's talk about some of the shenanigans that you can pull off in this game. Again, I will not talk about any of the stories or like the missions in the game. I will just talk about random shenanigans and stupid stuff that you can pull off in the city. And I will start things off with the driving, because I was really impressed by this one. So it seems to be one of the best aspects of the game, both because it just looks amazing to drive in the third-person view and because there are some really amazing cars to drive with, but it seems that it also feels quite satisfying. Now, would I compare this with something like GTA 5, for example? Well, kinda on the surface level, but not really. It does feel different from what I've been able to tell, but at the same time, it does have its own spin on it. Like Cyberpunk, of course, it is going to feel a lot more different than that. What I was impressed by was, of course, the fact that the city just seems packed with a ton of stuff to do in it, with a ton of stuff happening at the same time on the streets. Like when you're going in, there's a ton of cars. Again, if you slap GTA 6 or GTA 2077 on some of this footage that I'm seeing, you're not probably going to notice that much of a difference, but you are going to feel quite a bit of a difference when it comes to like the collisions, to the way the cars drive, to the suspension, to the way it feels. So obviously, yeah, there is an entire spin on it. There's also reports from people that indicate that you just can't steal any car you set your eyes upon, at least not in the early game, and you will need some sort of upgrade later down the line that permits doing that. I'm not sure if these reports are true, take it as you will, but on the same note, it does seem that the game does have some difficulties when it comes to running on the older gen of consoles. Though I will say this, from all of the footage and the people I've talked to, it seems that most of the footage lacks even the day 0 patch. So even the 44GB patch that was reported a few days ago, it seems that that is only available on the Series X, which is why gameplay on the Series X and sometimes even on the PS5 looks way better, like leagues above the PS4s and like the Xbox Ones that normally have like really blurry images and some really bad overall bugs and textures over there. But otherwise, this is before the day 1 patch, and of course it's probably going to be way better once that happens. But on the same note, I saw a really awesome, let's just say, alleyway walk. Like there's this scene where one character is walking through, let's just say, a sex worker related alleyway that is really packed with NPCs. Like there are so many NPCs over there, even though the alleyway is really small, like a really tight place, yet there are NPCs coming and going all around the place. Now, as the character is making its way through the alleyway, eventually it reaches this big area, kind of like a market area filled with NPCs, filled with merchants and a ton of stands that of course has quite a bit of interaction in there too. So again, I was surprised by this, but again, this is on the new gen, so older gen seems to have some problems with NPC density. I will name a few bugs specifically with no patch at all, and this includes NPCs despawning when driving your car. So it seems that when you drive your car through the city, NPCs for some reason despawn for the most part. There's also the fact that NPCs might vanish or appear in front of your eyes, and generally just problems that eventually should get flashed out. Like if you're seeing bugs in any of the footage that you might find online, just keep this in mind. It's way easier to fix bugs, it's way harder to fix bad design decisions, and I will just leave it at that. Now, we were talking about doing stupid stupid stuff in the open world, so let's talk about that. Of course, going in, like jumping on a bike and smashing head into another car can throw you off the bike, if you were wondering. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same kind of physics level as it is in GTA, for example, which is really funny, but it still happens over here. As far as police and getting involved with pedestrians or with gangs and attacking and killing, that is totally possible. That is completely possible. Going in GTA style is an option, and you can do that in this game. So in most of the neighborhoods there's going to be police presence pretty much at every corner, or if not at every corner, it's going to be pretty, you know, substantial. You can oftentimes see them investigating a crime scene, like you're going to see some delimitations, a body on the ground, medics or the police officers investigating. You can also oftentimes see for example, police officers interrogating other NPCs and asking them questions about gang or, for example, crime related stuff. But you can also go in and, as I've said, go on a killing spree, on a rampage. If you kill most NPCs, it seems that they will just cower in fear. Like the footage I've seen is mostly people shooting at NPCs, so obviously most of them will not retaliate, they will just run away. You can also loot them, by the way, so they will have loot, which most of the time is probably not going to be like legendaries or whatnot. That is probably going to be reserved for like higher quality or more important type of enemies that you will have to fight with. On the same note, police officers will obviously attack you on sight if you happen to do any of these. They seem to react in a very similar way to GTA 5's, for example, so I'm not seeing too many differences over here. Like, for example, one of these footages shows somebody going in the middle of the street, starting to attack a ton of enemies, and then police officers nearby just jump in and start shooting at him. Eventually that person gets downed, but we don't see the full extent of it. What I did hear from reports is that there is a form of, let's just say, bounty system, though it's not going to be as advanced as it is in Red Dead Redemption 2, for example. So at least in terms of the wanted level, it seems to be closer to GTA's rather than Red Dead Redemption, which honestly is not a bad deal, because the one in Red Dead Redemption can be a bit problematic at times, like a bit annoying if you're not the slow-paced type of player. At the same time, if you go into rundown type of neighborhoods, like for example something like Pacifica, there's less police presence over there, but instead you will encounter a lot more gangs. So you can see them going on the streets, on alleyways, behind blocks. You'll just see them like doing their stuff, and you can engage with them, you can attack them, they will attack you back as well. And it seems that this might be a superior way of getting some form of loot if you go into these types of places, but most of the times it's just thugs, so you're not going to see some high-end enemies type of stuff. High-end enemies usually seem to be guarding something, like you might see a gang affiliated kind of bodyguard that might be protecting a really high security area. You can, or at least it seems that you can, take on these enemies, and they might provide something way better than your regular thugs, so at least there is a distinction on that. Also on the same note, loot seems to be abundant. If I were to compare this with another game, think of it as kind of Fallout, especially Fallout 4 or even Fallout New Vegas. You go in, kill an enemy, and they almost always have something upon them, be it a shirt, a vest, maybe a weapon if it's like a thug or whatever. Sometimes even like a conversation kind of chip that shows the last conversation that NPC had before, well before you brought their inevitable demise. But on a final note, I will talk about two more things, which are the gunplay and the inventory management. On the inventory management side, prepare for a very extensive inventory kind of setup. It's not as bad as Fallout, by the way, so you're not going to scroll through, let's just say, like small little sections of inventory, but instead you're going to have the full-on inventory that is displayed in front of you. Though I will say that there are so many items you can collect at any given time, so many weapons, so many upgrades, consumables, crafting mats, it's just insane. Like, to give you an example, let's say you go in and do a side mission that brings you to an enemy outpost. Well, just in one single room you might find anything from a consumable, like something that might give you more stamina or HP. You might find bullets or ammo on the ground, you might find throwables, you might find weapons or gear. There's also items in caches, in drawers, in wardrobes, in pretty much everything you can expect from a full-blown RPG. Again, drawing a ton of parallels to Bethesda's games, but it's just that, it's really akin to that, if I were to say so myself. On the gunplay, yeah, it feels really good, like way better than most people are willing to give credit for. It's probably not going to be like Destiny 2 level or Doom level kind of gunplay. Obviously those games are centered around gunplay, but it doesn't mean that in Cyberpunk it doesn't feel satisfying. In fact, I will drop a video with some possible builds in the upcoming days after seeing all of the skill trees in the game, and you're going to be surprised by how many crazy ideas you can come up with in Cyberpunk 2077. So the gunplay feels solid. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not expecting everybody to like it fully 100%, but most people will feel satisfied by the gunplay, especially when they will learn about some of the dismemberment perks that exist in this game. Again, more on that in a future video, hopefully by the time the embargo lifts, which reportedly is on the 7th. Not really sure exactly, that would be tomorrow. If it does happen, if we do get official confirmation, then I can finally drop some more substantial kind of videos for you guys. But in the meantime, thanks so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.